All right, everybody, I am Andrew Badella. That is Jordan Carter. We are live for No Dirt, Just Dialogue. Nothing happening in the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment today. It is a boring day.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. I hope you guys and girls are well. I hope everybody's treating you well. We had some major announcements come through today, a couple of them being
major?
There is a new WWE radio that is going to be basically taking over Pro Wrestling Nation on Sirius XM radio. Basically, the point of my tweet, which I put out, was I don't know why people are so upset about this because I don't know what's changing. It's been very
it's always managed.
Yeah, I just don't get it, you know, and I understand people are mad about this or about that, but they've always pretty much covered WWE in the most positive light. And also, they've also covered WWE more than the competition, which is fine. It is what it is. It's the way that they're programmed and it's the way that they're directed. But you can't be mad at WWE. I mean, that's just my point. You can't be mad at WWE for controlling the narrative. Like, that's just what they're going to try and do. You can be mad at the people who jump on board to control the narrative. So it is what it is. But anyways, Jordan Carter is with me. Jordan, what's going on, man? How are you?
And I'm trying not to melt here in Texas. We're hitting 100-something degrees for consistent days, but I'm doing good. A lot to kind of break down and talk about. It's been an interesting week, 2 weeks in wrestling. We got a pay-per-view this weekend. We're building towards a bigger pay-per-view here in a couple of months. We've had some 90-day non-competes, finalized at midnight. So, you may see some new faces show up in some new places here in a few weeks.
New faces, new places, baby.
Yeah, it's been interesting. But I'm good. I'm very excited for today.
Good. As you should be. Very fortunate. When there's news to talk about, you don't want to have a show that doesn't have news. You don't want to have a show that doesn't. That's why we kind of do this bi-weekly so that we're lockstep in, with pay-per-views and everything else like that. We have a Tony Khan media call today. So today is jam-packed. Jordan, I'm going to let you drive here. Where do you want to start? I do want to preface this by saying we're going to talk about Redemption. We're going to talk about whether or not this pay-per-view is buy-worthy. We're going to talk about some of the reports that were going around about MJF and everything else like that. But we're going to focus here on the two major topics at hand. We also will have a show next week for SummerSlam. I will be live in living color at US Bank Stadium, but we'll have a preview show as well. So just want everybody to understand that we're not going to preview SummerSlam now. We'll wait until next week. But Jordan, where do you want to start, my man? Go ahead.
Well, let's start with some softballs. Have you seen the Unreal news that came out? There's two particular things that kind of came out.
Sure, what do we got?
So one of them being that Braun Breaker allegedly, well, there's no allegedly, they showed it. Braun Breaker was talked about and slated to win the Royal Rumble. But according to WWE, they did not pull the trigger on Braun winning the Rumble in fear of him being pushed down fans' throats. And I just think that's a particular reason. Like it's a really weird reason as to why you don't kind of give somebody who's deserving the rub, the push, and that you kind of see where he's at now. Like I feel like he's been he's kind of been demoted. It feels like I don't really see a high ceiling for Braun anymore. And I know things are a slow burn. WWE does it on their time when they want to, so on and so forth. But I wanted to see what you thought about that one in particular. Do you think they made the right choice?
With what? With Roman Reigns? Putting Roman Reigns to win the Royal Rumble is never the wrong choice. Roman Reigns
never a wrong choice, right? I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight being 2020 right now, we had Roman Reigns and CM Punk in one of the best matches in recent WrestleMania history. So if you're arguing with that, so be it. Braun also had a major return at WrestleMania. He was injured. So had Braun won the Royal Rumble, boy, I'd hate to see what had happened.
Right.
Nobody's really talking about that. I also believe, and I've said this since Unreal was released, I enjoy the entertainment that Unreal provides. My wife likes it when we're watching and I put it on. She's like, oh, okay, this is different than wrestling. There's she sees the life with Matt Cardona and Chelsea and everything else like that. And she's like, oh, this is interesting. She's watching John Cena talk about the business within the business. But Unreal is entertainment at its finest. They are making you sympathetic to certain characters, and I believe Bron Breakker is one of them. How all of a sudden we get the news 2 weeks ago that Bron's upset with his current creative direction, and you have all these streamers and people saying, what the are they doing with Bron Breakker? Why isn't he here? Why isn't he there? That he should be main eventing and everything else like that. Let me just run you down what Bron Breakker did the past like 6 months. Okay. Returned at Mania, had a high profile match that he won at Backlash with Seth Rollins, won the tag team championships. Okay. Then had a steel cage match in Saudi Arabia on a 5 or 6 match PLE against Seth Rollins. Now, granted, he lost, but then won the tag team championships again, and was also, before all this, one of the people who was in a prominent spot to take the World Heavyweight Championship. So do I believe that this was a vehicle to get some sympathy on Bron Breakker, just like they did with, I don't know, Chelsea Green last season? Yes, I do. If you guys take Unreal too real, go stack marbles. It's entertainment. It's great entertainment. But I mean, to sit back and say that everything on WWE Unreal is real, you got your frontal lobotomy.
There's particular verbiage though that I would like to kind of break down, and that's the in fear of shoving him down fans' throats. May I present to you Danhausen, who is currently being shoved down our throats. So it's just like I don't know. It's a weird.
You got to get off the Danhausen thing.
Okay, I'll get off Danhausen. Okay, I'll get off Danhausen. Sure. Let's say I'll give you another one. We'll say Obafemi, right? You could say he's being shoved. Like, my point being is, what is shoved down fans' throats? Where does the line start for quote unquote being shoved down fans' throats? Like, where does it start? Where does it end? Right? Because what is a legitimate push and build versus shoved down throat? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's like, I understand Unreal is not real. It's entertainment. It's reality TV. We all know what reality TV is. But it's that particular reasoning as to why. Now, granted, again, hindsight being 2020, like you said, he was injured. You can never really go wrong on betting on Roman, you know. So it's not like they made a bad decision, right?
I don't understand. The whole thing about Danhausen, going back to that, Danhausen, WWE is going to milk every penny they can out of Danhausen until they cannot any longer. And that's smart business. They paid the man to come in. They've already received above and beyond what they would have paid Danhausen. Now, Danhausen might not be for everybody. And I praise Tony and AEW a lot more than other people do, because I see the good in what Tony's trying to do. And I also see the way Tony sees things and wants to do things. And I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, it's his goddamn company. But AEW horribly mismanaged Danhausen, and anybody with a set of eyes would see that he is not truly fit for that promotion unless they're going to take an entertainment side approach. And Danhausen fits WWE like a glove and has also made them a ton of money. So WWE shoving Danhausen down our throats, sure, maybe to you and me, because, you know, do I need to see Danhausen all the time? I think Danhausen being shoved down our throats is the wrong choice of words. I understand that you don't need to see Danhausen wrestle as much as he's wrestled. I get that. But the 3 minutes max that he gets on a television programming, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, is an entertainment side of what WWE does, and they do it very well. Now, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But this isn't Jordan World Wrestling Entertainment. This isn't Andrew World Wrestling Entertainment. This is World Wrestling Entertainment. You know what I'm saying? So me personally, looking at this from a business perspective, what they do with Danhausen is a smart way to utilize their money, because he is a cash cow right now. That's it.
So you don't.
Do I need him in matches? No, Jordan, I don't. But I'm not. You know what? They're going to get their money's worth out of Danhausen, and the kids want to see him.
And you know, more power to them, right? Like, Danhausen just ultimately isn't for me. But sure. I just want to know where what do you think where the line is on doing too much with a certain, you know, where do they, how do they, you know, say, okay, hey, let's slow down this push because we're doing too much with him? Because that's what they did with Braun. It's like, hey, let's slow down this push because we may be doing too much with him. Because I think they didn't want another Roman Reigns 2015, 2016 situation, where you really believe in a guy, but the crowd just isn't buying it. And I understand that. But I don't think this was that situation. Braun has been over since he showed up.
Sure.
Since the moment he stepped through the performance center, he's had fans. Everybody loves him. He can do no wrong. And so I just kind of wonder, like, it's not like they saw the injury coming. So it's like, why not pull the trigger? I just wonder that, like, where does the line start for them to say, hey, we're doing too much with this guy? And I wonder who else do they feel that way about?
Yeah.
I
mean, the whole thing about, I don't want to shove him down our throats. I think that was a line done for television. Don't be the next Steiner. Yeah, I think that's a line
that
done
one
for
was
television.
for sure. Yeah.
You could tell that Braun is Triple H's guy. Him and Sean. That is their guy. Just like Gunther. And realistically, you want to talk about something that could be real news is Gunther has retired some heavy hitters, and what the hell is he doing? He's taking on Nick Aldis, which I love. And I don't have a problem with that because Nick hasn't been in the ring in a very long time, especially, and this is the first time ever, I believe, in a WWE ring, minus a tryout here or there or whatever, before the internet people show me a cage match that I had no idea existed. But I'm just saying, I don't hate what Gunther's doing, but if we want to talk about talent that's really kind of like mismanaged or kind of floating in the ether, Braun Breaker's not one of them currently. He's not.
Well, hold on, because I'll address one of the comments, because it is one of something to say when he's in a program with Tozawa and he's kind of
sure.
And things like that. That is kind of something to be said, that when you were rubbing shoulders with Seth Rollins talking about taking the title, and now here you are with Maxine Dupree in facing off Tozawa. But you were reading my mind, because I did want to translate this into a Gunther conversation, because
sure,
it feels like Gunther's doing nothing. It feels like Gunther's kind of spinning some wheels.
Nick Aldis' return to a ring is not nothing, especially the amount of television equity that he's had over the past, 2 years, year and a half, whatever. It's a great first opponent back, because it might be Nick's last. Yeah. And that's what Gunther is. But we all talked about how they're going to pigeonhole themselves into this corner with this booking, and you're seeing it, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, who's taking what championship? Is Gunther taking off Punk? Hell no. No. And is he taking off Roman's championship? Hell no. Not currently. So this is the best they have for him. Okay, so be it. I'll let it play out. It's the whole thing with what I posted, people are, with the whole WWE radio, I don't think they understood. I didn't say it wasn't news. It is news. I think your fake outrage is ridiculous. Sirius XM and the fake outrage about Gunther is ridiculous too. Sirius XM, the 24/7 Pro Wrestling, whatever it was called, Pro Wrestling Nation, was heavy WWE. Half of the guys and girls that were on there were employed by WWE or have a connection or co-opted. What are we talking about here? I understand that a lot of people are upset because of what's going on in the world. And I get that, everything being controlled state media. I get that. My post has nothing to do with me wanting that or being on one side of the political spectrum. You would have no idea what type of political affiliation I even remotely have, because that's just not who I am. I don't give a shit about politics. Truthfully, I don't, because I think it's all the same bird. Okay. It's all the same bird. Right wing, left wing, same damn bird. Okay. So for me,
it's a very eloquent way to put it. I never thought of it like that.
And if you're going to sit here and think that I want all this, I want this control. I don't want this, but there's no change. Your outrage is ridiculous. You're pretending like Sirius XM and that Pro Wrestling Nation thing was so into New Japan and Stardom and CMLL and AAA. They weren't, come on. Are those guys and girls entertaining? Sure they are. Is LaGreca and them, doing what they do? Sure. And I don't hate on them for doing that either. But I mean, don't sit back and tell me that was the absolute outlet for pro wrestling and sports entertainment. You sound ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So on that, because I guess we'll just jump right into, because I'm a little confused on the outrage too, because why wouldn't, I've seen people say like, oh, well, like you said, state controlled media, such and such. I saw an article from an outlet that will not be named, saying
I was
how
gonna
Tony
say something
Khan.
about birds, but people would call me sexist or something. I love birds too. Go ahead.
But how it said an outlet said something about how Tony Khan wants to control the narrative about his company and things like that. And now you see WWE
Bro,
with. My
Jordan.
thing is this: if
Go ahead. Go ahead.
who doesn't want to control their own narrative about
Bingo.
what's being
If
said?
you're owning a company, like people, like whether it's AEW or WWE, they want everybody to speak positively about the company. And
Duh!
they want their narrative out there. That's what they want. And now all of a sudden we're mad about it. I respect the people. And I will say this. I'm sure he's not watching. Maybe he is, but I respect Dave Meltzer because Dave has realistically kind of stayed in his own lane and done his own thing for decades. He could have easily probably jumped to WWE, WCW, or whomever, and he probably easily could have done something with TNA or whatever, but he stayed. Now, I will say this about Dave Meltzer. I think Dave, this is a thought. I don't know this to be facts, but I think Dave is very tight with Tony, and I think Dave might even be part of the discussion that take place regarding what AEW does on television and matches they book. And Tony will deny that, but I think maybe Dave might have a small equity stake in AEW, and that doesn't bother me. But for the most part, Dave has really kept himself independent. Now, I say that after I said that because there's a lot of outrage now about what happened. And for me, it's like, I'm not going to blow up anybody's spot because that's just not who I am. But let's not pretend that people have been bought and paid for or are currently buying into something. Okay? That's
I mean,
you want to be independent,
thing,
be independent. Don't start doing this.
Most major brands and companies, I'll just put it to you like this, most Fortune 500 companies are looking to control their narrative on what's being
100%.
said about them. That's smart.
The outrage you see from people is politically driven. This is what this all is. Anytime I ever post about the Paramount WBD stuff, they get all on this whole thing about CNN and I understand. But that's not what I'm covering. I don't do politics. I understand there's bigger implications. AEW is probably not going to be on Paramount Plus if the merger goes through, which I believe it is, because Ellison is going to be advised by I don't know. Ari Emanuel. So, I mean, like, what are we doing here? But, like, you're misconstruing. Like, you think I fall on one side of the political spectrum because of the way I see things? No, I don't. But I also don't base my identity or what I cover on politics, dude. I don't. I understand this bothers people. I get it. And you know what? So be it. But to sit here and pretend like this is news, unless you've been living in a bubble, this is not news.
I just, for me, it's not news because one, who listens to radio anymore? Two, who has Sirius radio?
Well, I mean, I will tell you, I think this you got to remember, they're doing play-by-play. And a lot of people now work, the phone is so readily available and people, maybe some truck drivers or people who are taking long road trips, or maybe they have to drive from destination to destination. Shit, Uber drivers, Lyft, Instacart, what you name it, they could listen to the play-by-play in their car now.
Do you think wrestling, like I've always thought wrestling as a visual medium, like
10 years ago, this product was dead. 15 years ago, I'd say this is dead. Not anymore.
So you think like it's a play-by list? You think listening to a wrestling match is viable?
For sure. In today's market, for sure.
I mean, I'm willing to kind of think, because like I don't know, like again me, because I see it, I'm 90s baby, I don't listen to the radio. A lot of people in my peer group don't listen to the radio. We got Spotify, Apple Music, whatever.
Hold on, I'm going to present you with a situation here. Let's just say you work overnights on pay-per-view. Okay, so then there you go. On pay-per-view nights, and you can't, at your job, you can't physically watch a screen. Like, you're not at a desk, you're kind of up and about. You could put a pod in, you can listen and get your work done. Again, this is a market share that WWE is going to try and capture. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But they're going to get their hands, their feet, and their nuts in everything because they want it all. They don't want some of it. They want all of it. And if you guys and girls don't understand that, I don't know how to eloquently tell you anymore. Like, they want it all and they're coming for it all. Nick Khan is not the laid back type of person. He is a shark and he is coming for everything. And that's what this is. He wants all of the market share, not small, all. That's what he wants. Sorry if that bothers you, but it is what it is.
I don't think there's, I mean, the way you're putting it, yeah, no, you swayed me. You bought me. Like, yeah, if you're busy, road trips, overnight worker, yeah, I could see how
and
how
people will say I could just put it on. I could
radio.
I could put on ESPN Plus and just listen to it. Yeah, you can, or ESPN Unlimited. But what's the cost on that? Sirius satellite radio is $3 a month with a promo code. $3 a month. And they sometimes they give you the first like 6 months free.
For free, yeah. They just give it away a lot of times. Yeah.
So if you're about saving $1, which a lot of people are in this economy, I'm just saying, is it the greatest way to watch wrestling or no? Hell no. But people are going to do it. Not to mention all of these podcasts, the Steph stuff, the Cody stuff, the Taker stuff.
That's all going to go there too. All that shit's
going over there. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, you can't, you didn't see this? You didn't see Fanatics doing this? I mean, I did. It's just not my news to break. It's also not, listen, there's so many things that I could talk about that I don't, because at the end of the day, that's not what I do. I dissect and have dialogue about stuff that is reported. That's what this is about. I don't do the dirt, but I can see things. AEW is going to have a podcast network coming out very shortly. I would guarantee it.
Oh yeah, with my AEW, that which, by the way, the app is apparently doing very well. AEW would be smart to mimic this move, because if you ask me again, when it comes to, again, quote unquote, state controlled media, especially in wrestling, it's not a bad idea. Why wouldn't I want one central localized place where I can get all my WWE stuff? If I'm listening to the radio, if I want to catch up on Raw, I can listen to WWE radio. If I want to catch up on SmackDown, I can listen to WWE radio. If I want to listen to the pay-per-view while I'm at work, because, maybe I work weekends, I can listen to the radio. AEW would be incredibly smart to mimic something like this, to have their own podcast network. Because I think that's one thing that WWE has done very, very well with their Legends contracts, and their, Taker having his podcast is a super, super smart idea. Steph's podcast is doing gangbusters. I would not be surprised if they get Brie and Nikki Bella's podcast to maybe show up for an episode or two on this WWE radio. I know they have loose affiliations. But yeah, no, I'm very confused on the outrage about the news. Like, why you would think it would be a good move for WWE? Like, it is
a good move for WWE. This is what I'm trying to explain. Like, they get to control the narrative, and people are like, I respect John. I like John Alba, good dude. And he says there's a substantial difference between an outlet choosing to cover one thing primarily versus the thing they cover having editorial say, invested financial interest. Brother, John, and he says it is what it is, but this is not a nothing burger either. Again, this is so politically driven, and I understand. I get it. It bothers a lot of people. But at the end of the day, if you listen to Busted Open or whatever it was, Pro Wrestling Nation, they have been covering WWE in the most positive light and tiptoeing around things for over 2 years now, or a year. This is not new. Now, basically, all this is all of these guys and girls who have so desperately, minus the ones that are worked there and who have wrestled there, have desperately wanted to work for WWE, now get to say that they do that. That's all this is. And it's going to be all pro WWE. So WWE was probably approached by Sirius, and they said, hey, or WWE approached Sirius and they said, screw it, we have this, let's just mesh the brands. And I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
It's really funny, because that reminds me of, a couple of years ago when the SEC network channel popped up, right? You may remember this. Soon after, UT Austin Texas, University of Texas, had their own channel and network. And everybody was, well, yes, there's nothing wrong with having something controlled and edited and, you know, the view by the entity. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, if I'm a WWE fan, I would hope what I'm listening to is all approved by AEW, or not WWE, is all approved by WWE, is written by WWE.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I want to go straight to the source?
There's also a lot of people who stay away from doing this, like who are former talent, former whatever, managers, whatever. They stay away from doing these type of things in terms of being on a non-affiliated radio show or a podcast or whatever, because they all want to get back into WWE or AEW, or they're currently under contract and don't want to ruffle feathers because they either have friends or family or whatever in the company. It's not hard to understand this. Again, LaGreca.
I'm willing to bet we'll hear from more legends now. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, legends don't ever want to.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people who want to, like you said, want to maintain those good relationships. You know, it's, to me, again, it's a smart move. If I am a Fortune 500 company and I want to control my narrative, this is one of the best ways to do it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, people were pissed when they decided to stop doing the post-show scrums or post-co shot conferences, whatever the WWE called them.
This is it now.
After the pay-per-views, it's because it's unpredictable. When you brought media in there, it's unpredictable. And I've said for years, this is why I respect and enjoy Tony Khan and the post-show scrums, because, again, Tony does dance around questions because he's media trained and he, you know, but he allows the variables. He allows the unknown. And if he doesn't want to answer him, he goes off and talks about something else, and God bless him. And that's it. But I mean, WWE has decided we're not even going to take the risk. We're going to risk mitigate, and we're not having you guys. And this is the same thing with Sirius. Their product is getting worse and worse and worse, in my opinion, WWE. And now what they're doing is they're deadening that noise. But it's not like you guys and girls didn't see this coming.
And on top of that, it's not like this WWE radio is the only place where you can get an opinion or thought on WWE. There are a multitude of outlets that cover WWE, whether it be favorably or unfavorably.
And it's crazy, Jordan. These people in my mentions are pretending like fucking YouTube X or whatever doesn't exist, where you can't find other opinions. You know what this does? For all you lazy sack of shits out there, truthfully, this creates a giant market share. Go seize it. Go seize it. Go seize it. This is what you want so bad. Go seize it. Stop complaining about what's going on in the world, because it's not going to change, and go seize the opportunity. That's all this is.
If you want that unbiased opinion or voice,
go do your own thing and remain independent to yourself. Before everybody who gets into this, for the most part, I'll say with an exception of few, they all want to be hired by the big guys and the big girls. They want to be hired. And I have said this numerous times. Would I entertain working for All Elite Wrestling? Yes, I would, because I don't think they would change my identity. Now, would I do podcasts there? I don't know. It really depends, because I don't think they're going to let somebody just have a free reign of, like, I think this sucks, that sucks, or they should do this better, because you got to show up to work and work with these people. But at the end of the day, everybody wants a shot that gets into this, and that's what they do it. Am I doing this to get a shot at AEW or WWE? Hell no. I do this because it's a passion project.
Love of the game.
It's fun. Sure. But I mean, like, everybody who gets in and tries to cover this, with the exception of few, I'm not going to name them, but they know who they are, would jump at the opportunity to be employed by one of the major two.
And that's what's crazy about this is a lot of people want that. Oh, I want to be unbiased. I want that unfiltered, unbiased opinion. Oh, WWE is going to control their media. Man, if WWE dropped a check in front of your face, you would probably say, you know what? Yeah, I'll be the morning show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to hear it. Like, it's not a bad idea.
Again, I mean, you can't be mad at this company, WWE, for gaining the market share. You're going to have to figure out something to do. There's a giant void in the landscape right now, and somebody should be smart enough to capitalize on it. And I've already had discussions with a couple people, and I think that they should jump at it. and start something that has realistically never been done. I will say, does a 24/7 wrestling platform like all day, every day sound appealing to me? Hell no. But 6 to 8 hours a day with different people, Monday through Saturday, and then coverage on some Sunday pay-per-views if they happen to fall on it. Does that appeal? It does. It does. And I think with the amount of wrestling out there and the amount of media and the amount of content, SiriusXM is WWE now. Okay, let's cover everything else. And we could still cover WWE and we could be fair about it.
Yeah, no, I again.
You're so mad. Start a revolution.
Yes. I mean, that's how AEW came around about. So
Sure.
if you have the same gumption about you and resources, which, many people don't, but hey,
or do
go
we just
for
want
it.
to sit behind a keyboard and talk about how this is the worst thing that's ever happened and all this other stuff? Do something about it. If you're at a major outlet, do something about it. This is the void that you have so desperately wanted. Nobody covers the sport fairly. Nobody covers this entertainment fairly. Well, now there's a huge opportunity to do so because one of the biggest dogs in town is now WWE. Let me get my finger. There it is. WWE owned. Okay.
This is an interesting question we have in the comments. It says, question for both. If WWE approached you, would you consider bringing your shows there?
No.
Absolutely
No.
not. No. I
and it's not because I'm like, oh, I'm better than this or whatever else, because the creativity flies out the window. They're going to control everything. And I can't sit here and blame the guys and girls from Sirius Satellite Radio who went. It is what it is. They got to feed families and stuff like that. This is not my primary gig. So I don't need to be bought and paid for.
To say we're saying no for the same reasons why we're telling people to fill that void. Right, we would then be hypocrites if we said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll take the money." I would be a hypocrite on just what I just said by saying like, "Oh, this isn't a bad idea," and if you don't like it, go fill the void. Right.
Well, and the other thing too is that like Tony wants to be so different, and he is. Go be different. Yeah. Start getting people who criticize both products and see what you can. And you know what? You want to be the alternative. This is the biggest way to be the alternative. Let people be free in terms of what they want to say and how they're going to say it. And if you don't want to bring these people to television because that they're going to ruffle feathers because of what they said on a radio show, who gives a shit, man? Stand by what you said. Don't waffle. That's the one thing I always try to instill in my children. If you say something and you mean it, stand by it. Because otherwise, for the rest of your life, you are labeled as somebody who does not stand by what they say. And it is
to quote my favorite rapper, Jay-Z, my word and my balls is all I have.
Right.
So, but to stick on WWE,
let's get off this. What else we want to talk about?
Well, I know we weren't covering we're not going to really cover SummerSlam, but I did want to kind of get your opinion or your thoughts on this little bit of SummerSlam news, and that
You're not going to talk about Danhausen and Dom Mysterio, are you?
No. Well, I was going to talk about the $25 tickets.
Yeah, smart move. It's about time.
WWE
sold a lot more than $25 tickets, Jordan. They slashed a lot of their ticket prices, and smart for them to do so. We're, are we single digits away from SummerSlam? Not yet. Getting close.
Getting close.
I know we might be. What's today? Thursday. So we're not just yet, but very, very close. And again, it's smart. They are moving tickets at an accelerated rate because of the prices of tickets. Shocker. Some bald idiot said a million times there is a demographic that you are forgetting, and it is your hardworking blue collar people who just will not spend $600-700 for 2 nights of entertainment. Now they lowered their ticket prices to some lower bowl seats that is cheaper than taking your family out to dinner, even at Friendly's or TGIF Fridays. So they're getting smarter. What they're not getting smarter at, in my opinion, is doing this at the beginning, but
that's what I was going to go with.
They're going to continue to do so because it's called the panic buyers. And I'm in the industry, and I know that people want their seats at that point in time. Gives them a peace of mind. They're going to pay whatever, and God bless them. But the fans have gotten smarter and savvier because they have no choice but to do so. So WWE, AEW, TKO, if that's what the fans are doing and they're waiting, so you can control the narrative and you can control the hubbub and hobbob online, Put the prices out the gate affordable. You want to put your high level, your front 3, 5, 6, 7 rows, whatever high, go for it. And ass every 18 inches. I've screamed this for over a year. They're too high out the gate, and people wait. Should be a t-shirt. Too high out the gate, wait. Don't do it anymore. Price them accordingly and watch the tickets fly. Watch them fly.
This is seeming to become a bit of a pattern. They've done this for the almost third, fourth time now, where they've a few weeks before the show, they drastically slash prices. So, I mean, you kind of, answered the question I was going to say, like, so I'll ask you this. What do you think is going to happen in the future? Like, we have what's the next big four?
Blake Mitchmore
Survivor Series is the next
Blake
big
Mitchmore
one.
asked me about the bubble. Has it burst? And I said, no, it hasn't. I said, they're going to continue to do what they're going to do, and then they'll drop them eventually. WWE was sitting at, I think, 25,000 for Saturday a week ago, and now they've moved about 4,000 tickets. They'll probably end up getting about 40 to 41,000 come Sunday. And they're going to do it for both nights, in my opinion. They'll have over 40,000 for both nights. And yeah, I do believe that they should control this better. But at the end of the day, if they see, they have more numbers than I do in terms of the analytics. If they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars initially off the ticket, the on sale and pre-sale, then they're going to continue to do it, and then they'll keep slashing. Do I think it's the right thing to do or the smart thing to do? No, I don't. But we saw with MSG, man, they slashed those ticket prices, and Saturday night's main event had like 13, 14,000 people there. So do I think it's something they should continue to do? No, it's not. I don't. I think they should slash them out the gate.
Yeah. It's just because I'll tell you, as a fan, it makes me feel I don't feel valued. As the blue collar working fan, I don't feel valued.
And I get that when you have to figure it out whether or not you could afford the credit card payment, or whether it's like, I don't know if we're going to eat or do all that other. That's not decisions that you should have to make to be entertained. Right. That's crazy.
Right. So I don't, the reason why I say I don't feel valued, because it's like, oh, you don't care about me and my money or my fandom until the very last minute, only because you just want to sell the building out. Well, you don't care if I'm actually there.
Yeah, a lot of people sit back and they're like, oh, the product dictates whether or not I'm going to buy a ticket. Some of you aren't buying these high price tickets anyways, and I understand that. But I will tend to agree with it. There's really nobody currently right now that is like overly over besides Roman. And I would say the Brock and Oba match, sure, but there's really nobody that's like polarizing where you had to go see it. And WWE benefited by a John Cena retirement year-plus run, because people were spending money just to say goodbye to the guy that they love. There's nobody right now besides Roman that is drawing people into the building.
CM Punk.
Sure.
I mean, they literally are planning,
tickets are like milk, though, brother. They expire. So you got to be smart with it. They have an expiration date. Like, be smart,
Yeah, it's just interesting that, again, this has happened for the third, fourth time where we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks out from a show, a couple days out from a show, and let's cut prices, and they move an exorbitant amount. It isn't like, they moved a couple hundred tickets because they sold, just to fill up. No, 4,000 moving 4,000 tickets off of cutting your prices. Now imagine, like you said, if we start out with lower prices, you would have had a sellout already. You would have had your sellout. And to me, that when something sells out, that creates FOMO for me to then watch it. If I can't be there, then I'm going to make it appointment television. Especially in this day and age of I can go back and rewatch. Pre-record whatever. If
the booking isn't good, though, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not going to draw you into the building. And I do agree with some of that sentiment online. The thing too is that this isn't the first time we've talked about this, and I do believe that TKO executives, Endeavor executives, are not happy with what's currently being portrayed, and the fans, although vocal minority on the internet, most of them don't attend a lot of shows or even a show. If they say it sucks and it doesn't draw a lot of people, or they're saying they wouldn't attend, I think once you get these people's money once and they're like, this show, and then they watch and it's like, not really for me, they're not going to come back. And you want repeat customers, man.
Okay, so this is the second time, and let's just address it then, because you kind of mentioned it before earlier. You feel like WWE is kind of in a rut, I guess. We'll to put a bow on it a little nicely,
I would say that the rut is like a tough word. I think their main events are their main events, and I think that they've done a good job at SummerSlam with those main events. But I will say that the Brock and Oba thing, just the way that we went about it. Like, if you knew that Brock and Oba was going to be in a Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam, we could have gone about it a different way. Punk and Cody could have been done a completely different way as well. Punk walking in as champion, Cody wants to chase. Okay, whatever. Could have been done a different way. Could have told a different story.
This whole we're friends, and then slight disrespects. I'm just going to be honest. I hate that stuff.
Yeah, sure. And the only thing that worked currently that I'm like, okay, this is how we got here, was Roman and Seth. But again, that could have been told better, in my opinion. You could have had Seth win the King of the Ring.
It's also been told 1,000 times.
I mean, yes and no, but I'm just saying.
No, you're right. Yeah, I think
you got to sell a pay-per-view. You got to sell a pay-per-view off your main events, and the 2-night stuff is tough. They have one main event that I thought was built correctly. The other two are mega matches, but the build is kind of like, why are these two fighting against each other? And Brock and Oba, they've done a decent job of retelling that. But first of all, Oba looks like a goof right now, so he's got to win at Hell in a Cell. He's got to win at SummerSlam.
Oh, yeah. Oba, I ain't gonna lie. Oba looks, from that promo to say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. You're also the guy who gave up a title shot.
Yeah, I agree.
Which tells me as a viewer that if the biggest and baddest doesn't value your World Heavyweight Championship, why should I? Because I don't care about the titles right now. I don't. Sure. I don't care about CM Punk, Cody. Why don't I care? They just tagged with each other, and I'm supposed to believe they have beef because he slapped the belt over his shoulder, and it hit Cody. I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, I really want to.
They could have, they could have told different stories. If my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bicycle. I mean, I get it, but I'm just saying, like, it's. Again, could we have told better stories, or maybe people are like really scratching and clawing to get into this show and wanting to see it? Sure. They've told this. The Oba winning the King of the Ring and then dropping that was a mistake, in my opinion, creatively. You can't blame the talent involved.
No. I'm not, Oba's just doing his job.
Punk and Cody was kind of like convoluted, but it is what it is. You know who's not convoluted? Juice Springsteen, what's going on, you filthy son of a bitch?
Oh, everything's great. Everything's great.
Everything's wonderful.
Sure you guys, yeah. You know me, coming in right at the midpoint of the show. So
that's all right. We're about to
nothing more mid than me.
Right. We're about to jump into our redemption predictions anyway. Juice, me and Jordan talked about it at length, but I figured I would talk to you about it real quick. I said there's really I understand the significance and the new branding, but Busted Open has been basically loosely WWE radio for over 2 years now. And now it's official. So it seems like a lot of people are up in arms about it. Dave Meltzer, John Alba said, this is a big change and everything else like that. And I kind of said, it is a change in the name, but the fake outrage online just seems very minuscule. Like this shouldn't be really an outrage. Your thoughts?
Like outrage is a little extreme, but I tend to lean a little bit with what they're saying, in the sense that they're primarily saying this is WWE radio. The channel that Busted Open and all these other places we're on is going to be WWE programming. That just tells me, as just an outsider, they ain't going to talk about AEW. They're not going to talk about some other stuff. And I think that's
Juice wasn't. I mean, they basically didn't. It was very light. They talked about it lightly.
Sure, but I mean, you just, I don't know. You listen to some of the shows on there, some of the After Dark shows, LeBar and those guys, and there's different shows in and out. Now, if you take it back to the Cody Crybabies era, it was very apparent that Busted Open was of course, I mean, WWE is the number one company. So like obviously they're going to get the most attention. It's just, to me, when you're announcing this partnership, that is almost outright eliminating the ability to discuss other companies. And I think fans will look at that and go, there's another place I can't go where they've been going and enjoying
Stop
it.
right there. That's what I'm trying to get a point across. WWE has already been doing this with ESPN and its other media partners, and now it's with SiriusXM. If you didn't see this coming, this is what I'm saying. I truly believe that
they didn't want it to happen like this. I think people could see the writing on the wall, but they didn't want it. They didn't want Busted Open to go full WWE. Like,
so you needed to walk in on your wife cheating on you to believe she was cheating on you. The text messages you found weren't enough. You needed to see the act in person.
That's right. Yeah. I want to be cucked in person. No, no, but seriously, just like the fact that it's happening like this, and I listen to other people too, like Cheap Heat and some of these other guys on Busted Open on that channel would go and touch on some other stuff, and it's nice perspectives. Now I assume I'm never going to hear it.
Hold on a second. You mean to tell me that? And I'm big fan of Pete Rosenberg and big fan of some other people, Sam Roberts and everything else like that. You mean to tell me that these people were openly criticizing WWE and going like bananas on them on the creative? I doubt it, because they're on the show.
I know they are. They definitely have their issues with it. No one's ever going to go outside of the box and go, nuclear on it, but there definitely have their criticisms. And some of the people that are on those shows represent people in AEW. So like they would also discuss things at length about that stuff. And they, I would still wager that WWE was primarily their focus. I'm not going to deny that, but now it's just like, there is no chance. So it's like, well,
and I guess what I'm saying is, to
I look at a positive. Like, there's an opening. Who wants to talk about AEW?
I said I've texted some people and have some conversations and some DMs with some pretty powerful people, and I said there's a huge market gap right now that people could capitalize on, and I think we should.
We're here,
right? Well, sure. But what I'm saying is that I also think that a lot of people's outrage is politically driven, and I understand that. I fully understand where you guys and girls are coming from. My stuff has never been political, and like I said, right wing, left wing, same damn bird to me. So I don't get into the political stuff. But I think this is where people's outrage is that it's something, again, controlled, just like the Paramount WBD thing. Everyone's up in arms about that, because they believe that's it. We're not.
I could see that point, but the same people are more than likely also watching WWE and just not admitting that they're watching it. So like they will probably listen to these shows. Although I would say they probably would listen to these shows less, now knowing that there might not be any talk of AEW. That's why, again, there's opportunities to be had here. There's plenty of people. It's also really funny considering some discourse over the last few weeks of AEW content is dying. Well, there's a wide open lane for people to talk about AEW now. So it's there if you want it. AEW's been putting on some good stuff.
It would behoove companies to let people be themselves if you're truly the alternative, and come in and talk about whatever they want to talk about, and you can put it under your umbrella. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like if that's what you want to do, and that's what you want to do, all right. Juice, is there anything you want to ask me, or before we get into our redemption predictions, and then I'm going to jump on the Tony Khan media call?
Oh, good. Congratulations on all your success.
Sure. That's not a knock on Tony or AEW. It's just that, if you do your job even remotely good, you could be invited to those things. So you two obviously suck.
Thanks for the dig. I already said I was the mid part of the program. I don't know if I really have anything extra. I mean, SummerSlam's coming up. It seems like more things are getting lined up for that show. I'm very curious as to how late in the game they announce what night is what, because
they're gonna wait, brother.
It'll be probably SmackDown right before, like
they'll wait till Monday. Might be something.
They'll probably leak some. They might do a main event or two.
They might, you're right, so that people start gobbling up those tickets for that, because some people are on the fence. You're 100% right, but they were never going to announce anything this week.
No.
You maybe get something on Friday because people got paid. The people who are bi-weekly get paid so that they could spend some of their money on that. That could be a factor. Maybe you get the CM Punk and Cody Rhodes on Saturday. Maybe that's where they go. I don't know. You never know. Maybe that's so people are like, all right, I got to see that. You don't know what this means. You definitely are not Italian. We're getting out of here.
Well, it's just interesting why you put that particular on Cody and CM Punk.
Because I think that's going to be the Saturday night main event. We've squeezed your juice event. Box dry, huh? Jesus Christ.
hey.
That's going to be the Saturday night main event, not Saturday night's main event. I believe that'll be the Saturday night main event for SummerSlam. See. All right, let's get into Redemption, shall we? Firstly, I want to ask you two. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of back and forth about whether or not this pay-per-view is pay-per-view worthy, whether we should buy this. Should I buy it? They're not getting my money, damn it. They're not getting it. VPN and everything else like that. You could save yourself a boatload of money if you want. Or you could just buy the pay-per-view and stop being a pissant. But anyways, what do you guys? You buying or selling this as a pay-per-view? Or are you buying it not because you cover wrestling, but are you buying it if you were the consumer? Jordan, then Juice.
Me as a consumer, I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan. He's champion. Yes, I'm buying it. It's Kenny Omega in his home country. Yes, I'm buying it. Like, there's not many opportunities you get to see Kenny Omega with the championship. Again, it's been 5 years since the last time we've seen him with it. So it seems like this pay-per-view was kind of created almost for him, for the Canadians in AEW minus Speedball. So yeah, no, I'm buying it. Is it pay-per-view worthy? Some of these matches I can do without. But I almost say that about every AEW pay-per-view. So I'm buying it. What about you, Juice? Is this worth to part with your money?
I mean, as an analyst, or if I'm wearing the hat as an analyst, or I'm wearing the hat as a fan, or as I like to say, wearing the hat as a fanalist, of course I'm buying this pay-per-view. I think the AEW always delivers on pay-per-view, and just because the matches might not seem as pertinent as others might be, even if I can objectively look at this card and say it's somewhat predictable because I know that All In is the bigger, more important show to AEW, that doesn't really matter to me. Why am I suspending my disbelief on this show has to have so much unpredictability? It's going to be a really, really solid show. That's what I pay for when I watch AEW. So, I mean, I don't see a problem with it. Like, again, even if the end results are fait accompli, I don't care. I think there are going to be some banger matches on this show, and I'm going to be excited to watch. And then All In will be coming up at the end. And then look at this. We got a ladder match added to it. We got a chain match involved here. It's going to be some intriguing stuff that is going to no doubt be a lot of talking points. Not on Busted Open, though. But no, I just think that it's going to be interesting. And again, AEW has never really failed me on pay-per-view, even during like the COVID era. So of course I'm going to watch it.
My biggest thing with this, and I understand why people say it's not like buy worthy, is that it feels like none of the stories will progress or end with Redemption. If it like not none, let me not be that facetious. There's we have the main event title scene, but like
Kevin Knight's out of the world title scene as soon as this night's over. But something will begin as soon as that ends. I would assume.
But like, for example, the and I know it, I believe it was announced, but like the women's tag titles, we're kind of spinning our wheels with that. We're not really, doesn't feel like Redemption will be any sort of conclusion or clear picture for the women's tag division. We added in this ladder match kind of at the last moment. It just feels like, now granted, it's a great lineup. It's going to be a great match, but I think people are kind of dejected on this pay-per-view because it's like, what stories are going to
cover this?
Maybe if you stayed in the thing, you would have heard me say.
I heard you, Juice. I heard you, Juice. Don't jump the gun here. I said you would. You weren't covering. I heard you, but what I'm saying is that you're watching AEW weekly television, right? Let's just say for the first time, okay, for the past 6 weeks. Would you buy this pay-per-view, or are you looking at this like, what is this?
I probably wouldn't and buy All In instead if I was a first-time watcher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. So you're selling on that, but you're buying because of what you do on the side
and maybe that might hook you in. I don't know.
I can admit that my fandom kind of overtakes right here, with like, hey, look, I'm buying, like I said, the first thing I mentioned was Kenny. right?
Mhm.
So I can admit that my fandom, but if I am kind of a casual, like for
Sure.
example, my older brother is as casual of a wrestling fan as you can be. He'll holler at me about random stuff every so now and then. He forgot that Redemption was this weekend.
Well, again, I think there's, and I understand that point of view, because it's, first of all, it's a new pay-per-view. It's not something that was ever in the rotation. So we don't know if this was a direction that WBD wanted, or this was something that AEW pushed for, or whatever. I'm sure the WWE is not going to scoff at extra content, especially on their platform, and the pay-per-view providers are never going to scoff at that. But I will say that people complain about other people getting an opportunity, other talents getting an opportunity at the world title or even on the card. And then they do it and people are like, this shit sucks. Why are we doing this? What is the purpose? And it's like, for me, I don't understand how you're ever going to get new talent over. They got to get a shot, whether they win or not. We're going to, it's a whole new audience that they're, presenting themselves to. And hopefully they take that next step. But I don't understand the outrage where people are just, oh, this isn't pay-per-view worthy. I mean, this is professional wrestling. I think Kevin Knight did a really good job last night of making you be like, okay, I want to see this match. Was it the greatest build? Could they have went a different direction? Sure. But at the end of the day, Kevin Knight's getting an opportunity and it's pro wrestling. I don't understand why we're so hung up on whether or not, it's not like they're putting out the Great Khali versus Batista in a Punjabi prison match.
Underrated match.
Sure. People bought that too.
Sure, they sure did. Yeah,
so
that's a good point. I just again, outside of that, like, well, if you're a first time watcher, but to me, just as someone who's consistently watched these pay-per-views, how could you not want to tune into just the intrigue of the card, even if some of the matches, the result? I don't see that as an issue. How many times have we come on this show, we're going to talk about a WWE show and go, well, this will probably happen, and then it happens. Does that mean we weren't excited about it happening? Right. No. What the hell?
And I will say that people are, the one thing that I think some people do have some merit to and can actually stand on is that you're not paying $59.99 for WWE pay-per-views anymore. You're not. And Saturday night's main event, if you're savvy, are free. Okay. I'm not going to tell you how, but they're free. And people just aren't paying for them.
And
so now
WWE
could put together a card, and whether it's great or not, people aren't like, well, I just wasted my money. I've never had a feeling after watching an AEW pay-per-view that I wasted my money. Did I feel like, boy, this sucker was long? Yeah. Oh yeah. But I don't know. I'm going to give this pay-per-view a shot. And if it disappoints, I'm definitely not going to not buy all in, but maybe I take, maybe I sit back and say,
and that's a problem that I fear with this particular pay-per-view, because you're absolutely right. Like, sticking to this pay-per-view model of, having to pay $54.11 every other month or so now, it's like, if this one doesn't perform the way that you expect or want it to, the bigger pay-per-view, your biggest pay-per-view of the year, probably, it's going to be like, well, shoot, why would I buy that one? Just because it's in Wembley? Okay, I'm an American.
Well, it's their WrestleMania, so.
But to see, and that's the thing, still being a freshly new company, still trying to build this, prestige up for this event. You still have to buy it, people to buy in. You still got to build these people up. So to feel like it's a WrestleMania. So because people buy WrestleMania regardless. People,
right. Now, I would say to that point, you have to almost strike really well that this pay-per-view does a solid job at getting people to tune into All In, because if it is somewhat compared to the WrestleMania for AEW, which we've debated at other times, you want to make sure that the Elimination Chamber show or the Royal Rumble show is enough of a build to get to WrestleMania. So like if Redemption falls flat, not as many people are going to want to watch their big show because what they saw wasn't great. So like this show's pretty important in that fact to a newer watcher of the product, even if they are a pro wrestling fan. It's like, why would I want to watch their big Wembley show if this sucked? So you want to deliver.
I think it's important, even more important.
I think we should stop doubting
fan.
AEW and pay-per-views, truthfully.
I don't. I say it all the time, and
I'm talking to the entire audience. This isn't just a three-person conversation.
Well, I can hear you, so I'm upset.
it's the
I hope
thing
everybody can, otherwise we have issues.
The thing is, I don't think people inherently want to doubt pay-per-views. I think we're still like you're a little uneasy. You want it to go so well, so you kind of you're protected.
Sure, the economy is where the economy is, and spending $50 on anything puts me back into a place when, listen, my parents were not they were not overly wealthy, but they were also not, we were not like poor or anything like that. And my father was very, very good with his money, still is, and that's why he's at where he's at in life. And my mother as well. But I remember asking to buy these pay-per-views. My dad was like, no. And I got maybe 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year. Maybe, I'd get WrestleMania, I'd get the Rumble, I'd get SummerSlam, and I'd get an off pay-per-view here or there, Survivor Series, because it was close enough to my birthday. But again, people got to value what they're spending the $50 on. And in this economy, a lot of people can't afford to buy every pay-per-view. It's just the facts. It is.
And I think it's this has the potential to show the negative effects of the increased pay-per-view schedule.
And I also think Jordan and Juice, you're right, Jordan. I think that my next question to both of you was this pay-per-view necessary? Because realistically, what you're starting to do right now with the diehards is you're going to take their money, which I understand. But for people who are looking at this and they say, well, I'm either going to buy Redemption or I'm going to buy All In because I can't afford both, they're going to buy All In. And you shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't seclude your audience like that. You shouldn't.
No.
Well, that's where we talk about the booking part of it. A lot of us were assuming that Kenny Omega would get the world title match to win it at this show and not on TV. So now he's walking in as champion, and it might be great for the people that are there.
I just touched on this, by the way. I literally just said this. Sorry. All right.
Well, maybe they missed the boat.
Well, it is what it is. And again, I don't know.
It's how do you so really quickly going in, because you mentioned it at the top of the show. Now Juice is here. I definitely want to hear his thoughts.
Gotta be quick, boys.
About MJF, being the kind of creative and driving force to this main event.
I didn't mention
that
this.
we're seeing.
I didn't mention this. We didn't talk about this.
No, you talked about that the MJF you mentioned at the top of the show.
Not on this show, not yet.
Oh, well, MJF was apparently.
Not allegedly. I spoke about this like before the report went out, and I had people laughing.
It's not my news to break.
People were right. It's not my news to break. People were laughing, and they were like, "Oh, this guy's an idiot." Blah 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 blah. Sorry to disappoint again. I mean,
I love it. I love that MJF is like behind, because it makes sense. It works. I just saw a report saying that if Kevin Knight were to win, he would relinquish his TNT title, things like that. So like I which is not going to happen, but I am okay with it.
Like, you're subscribing to
Fruitful,
our old network. But no, I'm okay with it. I like it. It to me, it tells me that because people there was murmurs
meddling in somebody else's creative.
I don't think he's meddling. I think I think he is helping. I think this is for wanting Kevin Knight to face the champion. What's wrong?
I think he's down. I think MJF is probably somewhat limited physically right now and sees that as a thing. Okay, well, you're not a fucking doctor, so I'm not going to just assume you're right either. And I think that he wants to be able to input his creativity, and people are going to look at that because it involves himself as selfish, when I actually think it's selfless to deal it out and feel out how certain things can go. Because if the goal was always, like I had said on this show, Omega and Ospreay, you got to get there some way. And, for one reason or the other, they pushed that up to a TV instead of having
that. Max didn't try and push to get himself into the main event against Will in a one-on-one match. And maybe the guy
at all in.
Correct. And maybe the guy who owns the company.
I'm sure he pitched it.
Vision.
And why wouldn't he pitch it?
Right. But the guy who owns the company's vision has always been for this event, if both men were healthy, Kenny and Will. And MJF,
I mean, I said it on
trying
this
to-
show.
sure, trying to get himself involved and pushing for it.
He also knows he's a draw, so
Yeah,
it's not like
sure,
he's
but
wrong.
No, but I'm just saying, like, we're also talking about MJF. Darby's creative. Kevin Knight's creative. I can go on and on and on. Obviously, he was a big factor in all of this stuff, which is
yeah. It also, but again,
you can't fault MJF because
it's also
if he's got
dealing-
that stroke, then whatever.
right,
But I
but
mean,
it's also dealing with the world title, which he has been around. Darby was with the world title. Kevin Knight this is a world title match. MJF just had the world title, and it's been off and on him in regards to this Ospreay Omega thing. So, like, MJF, of course, is going to have some input whenever he's probably going to get right back in the. You don't think him and Ospreay is going to be a match after the fact?
why should MJF have input on what goes on in the company?
Hold on. Let me ask you something.
If it involves him in some way, I think.
Who gives a shit? What are we talking? Hold on. What are we talking about here? You think it's okay for the world champion to call his shots and meddle in other people's creative?
Calling his shot is not what I'm saying. I'm saying having input and having creative ideas when he's going to be the one dropping the world title to somebody, Kenny. And then who knows, whenever he has to figure out how to get back in there, is he probably pitching ideas. I'm not there. I'm spitballing.
I don't mind MJF saying, okay, what's my creative? What do you want me to do? Okay. Could I suggest this? Can we go this direction?
Yeah. And that's all I'm saying. Well, how are you going to jump to the point of he's meddling in other people's stuff?
Bro,
Andrew, let me ask you something. Would you be mad if the quarterback's coach, who's not a play caller, but would you be mad if the quarterback coach suggested a play? He knows his quarterback. He works with them every day.
I think asking a football question to the Jet fan is
the quarterback. Well, I love you. You know this, but the quarterback's coach isn't the one throwing or handing off the ball.
But he knows the person throwing and handing off the ball, and he goes to the play.
There's a huge difference when you're holding the world strap and you're deciding which way we go. That is the owner and the booker's job, not yours. Now I'm
not saying it is his job.
You can have a conversation and you could do this, but if you're meddling, I have an issue with it.
Even if it's positive.
What is positive about somebody making sure that I'm not going to do this. I can't, because I know where this is going to go and I just can't. I'm not respectfully. I don't mean to take the pussyfoot approach here with this one.
No, you're good.
Without the hard facts, it is tough for me to assume that he's actively
put out.
Okay,
they put out a report.
Yeah, that what was the report?
That MJF was basically the driving force behind creative.
Yeah.
What the hell does MJF have to do with Kevin Knight?
Okay, and again, this is why I think that, because whatever, you say he's not injured. I don't fucking care. Whatever happened whenever MJF was champion, and if he is told, hey, you're not going to be the main event at All In, don't you think MJF would have, maybe it'd be better and selfless of him to say, I'm going to drop it to Kenny. You know who would be a great opponent for Kenny at Redemption, because it's not going to be him winning the title. It should be him going against Kevin Knight. Suggesting that is selfless.
Hold on a second.
That's all.
MJF decides to drop the championship from what was been reported to Kenny at Beach Break Blast, whatever the hell they called it. Okay. Right.
Yeah. It is decided.
If MJF was so concerned about doing right by the young kid, Kevin Knight, MJF could have walked into Redemption as the champion, could have had a three-way with Kenny and Kevin Knight, or he could have just had a match with Kevin Knight and he could have let Kevin get all the shine and walked out as champion. Not Kevin Knight walked out as champion. He could have had Kenny, and then they could have dropped the championship to Kenny a week later on Dynamite if they really wanted to do this. You got to take off the blinders. I understand that the perception is that Max is doing right by Kevin Knight. Okay, maybe we are in a very ego-driven, conceited business where Max was like, I don't know if I like, let's have Kevin Knight have all this shine, but not at my expense.
But like, I'm just not going to sit here and assume that that's the case when I'm not back there.
I'm just seeing I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just sitting here saying from what I could gather, from what I could see, from what I could read, that's my perception on it. Now, whether or not that's what Max is doing, I don't know.
let's just play
but
this.
The fact that Fightful ran a report that Max is in creative is absolutely wild to me in 2026. Not on Fightful side. The fact that Max is weaving in and out of other people's storylines. Like, what are we doing here? What does he have to do with this?
How is it? Do you know for a fact that Tony doesn't confide in him to believe that he knows what to do in certain stories and maybe leans on him for stuff? Is this anywhere in the same ballpark as people saying that Mercedes had creative control? Like, is this something like that where people
good point
about that?
Good point.
We don't fully know whether or not Mercedes was calling her own shots. She has her own writer, who seems, I don't know any of that. And again, this is not me confirming. I'm just going by what Fightful reported.
I know, and same, and I'm bouncing that off and thinking, like, again, assuming that he wasn't hurt or was hurt. I was under the impression that Kenny would beat MJF at Redemption. That's why the show was like created, to get a big moment in Canada. And now all of a sudden it seems like, well, he's champion and he's walking in and MJF is not a part of it.
Where's MJF?
I know. So what happened?
Swerve.
So
Where's
what happened?
Hangman?
What happened? But I'm not going to sit here
and ask yourself that question, because none of you believe that what's being reported is true.
That is so wrong, and I never said that, so don't put that on me. I'm just saying, well, I don't like when people talk for me. I can talk for myself. I'm just saying, why is it not, we're having this banter. Why is it so out of the realm of possibility that he could have wanted to lend his ideas? And if it gets approved, I'm not going to blame MJF for that.
All right, I'll break this
down. And I'm not there, so that's my thing. I'm not there, so I don't want to assume
we got to get to predictions.
I know, we're never going to predict the whole card. Whatever. Kenny wins.
I'll break this down again. Let's just say MJF has been, and he's positioned himself, which if he's in this, then you would assume, and I know what the word does, but I'm just using the report, that he was probably doing this since January or December when he won the championship.
As soon as he was in the world title picture again.
Yep. And now we're sitting here and Tony states in February, hey, I am going with Kenny and Will if they're both healthy for my main event at Wembley Stadium. And MJF goes, okay, no problem. Knows this in the back of his head. Then MJF is doing, weaving in and out of creative whatever for himself, but not only himself, but for other people. He ends up dropping the championship to Darby. Darby has a good run. They could praise MJF. He did right by the business, this and that, blah, 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 which is AEW. Then MJF re-wins the championship. So people could praise. He could have the IWC by the balls, and also can maybe maneuver in and out of those people. And then all of a sudden he drops the championship. And now all of a sudden, where the hell is MJF? Where's our world champion? If MJF was so about, I'm just saying, I don't know this to be a fact. If MJF was so about doing the right things by the good, giving the young talent an opportunity, blah, 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 blah. Why isn't MJF on Redemption? Because he ain't hurt.
How do you know that? Because that is... How do you know?
How do you know? Yeah.
Because to me, I would totally skip Redemption and get healed up for All In if it were me. That's what I would do.
And I will say that I don't think that there's any doubt that MJF has elevated some certain talent. I'm not going to say that MJF elevated Darby, because I believe Darby was already there. He just never won the big one. MJF had no problem dropping the championship to him in that fashion and then taking it back in New York. But at the end of the day, if this guy has as much creative input as what's being reported, then he is always going to end up being the one that is at the tippy top, and everybody else is going to be a notch or a rung below him because he is afforded that availability.
He's also a draw, and I can't blame them for putting him at the top there.
You'll never make any other draws if this is the way things go.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that's how it comes off. And what did he not hurt his knee doing something? I'm pretty sure. I'm just saying. Allegedly. I'm pretty sure that was like I don't know. I don't see this as like MJF runs AEW. I just feel like he was hurt. They couldn't make the title switch at Redemption because would that not have been the best way to go about it?
I mean, again, MJF has done something. I mean, he had Darby absolutely destroy him because it was an impromptu match and everything else like that. I'm not saying that Max hasn't had some, look, Max is doing right, but Max always ends up at right here. At the end of the day, might take months, might take weeks. Max is always A1. And if that's the case, and what's being reported by Fightful, this is the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion. If what's being reported by Fightful, which I believe Sean and them do really good work, is accurate, then MJF has a lot more creative input than just Kevin Knight. You guys and girls need to take the blindness off. That's where my issue lies. If MJF,
if it continues, but we don't think plans could ever change. You think that people could hear this type of scuttlebutt and go, you know what, maybe we shouldn't get.
I don't think Tony Khan's going to be too pleased with this being out, because if this was something that was kind of behind closed doors, or I shouldn't say behind closed doors, but everybody knew it, but nobody was vocalizing it.
Yes.
Now it's out there. You could see some repercussions for this. That is my problem. You know, Max did a lot of things that helped talent. Like I said, Darby, Brody, Kevin Knight, whatever. Yeah. But it was always Max coming out looking like and smelling like a bunch of roses. So if this report by Fightful is accurate, which I believe it is, Max obviously has a lot more creative input and say than we had ever imagined.
And again, I'm not here to say that that's a great thing. I'm just, how I'm looking at it never came off as if he was really, really pulling the strings. I really felt that he was hurt and they had to pivot. And he said, let Kevin Knight get this opportunity. And they said, you know what? That is a good call, because otherwise, I don't know what you would do at Redemption.
I hope somebody on the call asks if MJF is injured. I won't, because it's a waste of a question.
Well, yeah, because you're Dr. Medalla. You were there.
It's not. It's just a waste of a question. If Max was hurt, somebody would have said something by now, in my opinion.
In your opinion, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Then someone in the chat said that he hurt his knee versus Roosh, which I thought that was when it started or it got exacerbated there. But if he doesn't show up at Redemption,
or you're all getting worked, brother.
Hey, I would love to be worked. That's what wrestling is about.
Hey, man,
I don't want to know everything.
I should be in the all-in main event, dude. Let's run with that. Can you guys get some sympathy on me? Like that.
I mean, you were the one on this show saying that Max should be in the main event. Maybe you're the one pulling the strings behind the scenes at AEW. Yeah. I said I'm like Ospreay, and that was going to happen.
And again, the way that things were going, it was a no-brainer. It seemed like that's where they were headed. And then you started to really watch television develop, and you could see that they were trying to weave. Max was trying to weave this in and out to potentially get that opportunity to maybe have a one-on-one with Ospreay. That's what I think this all was.
It's like in kayfabe. He was trying to navigate the unpredictable waters of booking when they tell him what's going to happen.
I'm telling you.
I hope I hold on to the title by All In.
This is why this is the best podcast.
I believe that Max was doing everything Max can to have the narrative out there, which was portrayed. How the hell is Max not in the main event at Wembley Stadium? Now the narrative is, where the hell is Max? Why doesn't he have a match at Wembley? We're a few short weeks away. And I say, what the hell is going on with Swerve and Hangman? Hangman has
that one promo, and then it was just kind of like
gone.
And dipped. He ain't been mentioned. They ain't mentioned him on commentary.
I'd say things will probably start popping back up after this pay per view.
I got 4 minutes, and we got to get out of here. Let's do it. Tekla Willow. I want Tekla versus Monet at Wembley. I also don't want to see a triple. I don't want to see a triple threat. I think the winners of the Owen should have a singles match each. Juice, Jordan, quickly.
I think you actually might see it. I want it to be Tekla, but I have a bad feeling we could see a triple threat because everybody loves Willow, as do I. But I'd love to see Tekla go in as champion. She's doing incredible work.
Mark Davis and Andrade for the AEW National Championship. I'm going with Andrade, and I think there's your match at Wembley Stadium: Andrade versus MJF.
You would be a fool not to crown Andrade or capitalize on this heat that good heat that he's got right now. So he's great. He's great.
I agree. And either way, I hope we see Andrade and maybe Kenny at Grand Slam Mexico.
Ooh, in a week. I like that. If
Max can make his champion or not.
Max can make his return. There you go.
See, and we didn't need Max to tell us to book it.
Painmaker Chris Jericho against Tommaso Ciampa. Do we care about this Painmaker gimmick? Chris Jericho has stated he wants this on AEW. It is back now. How long he stays for, I think it's a one-off.
Apparently, it's no holds barred.
It's no holds barred. I'm here for it. I'm going to go with Ciampa. You guys can hate on Chris Jericho all you want. I understand maybe the way he does things outside of the ring, but he has made a lot of the AEW talent, and that Jericho Vortex is bullshit. Go ahead.
Jericho is doing. He's doing exactly what people wanted him to do, and now all the naysayers are quiet. What did MJF say years ago? People will make critiques, find out that they're wrong, and then act like they never said the thing that they said beforehand.
Bingo.
Chris Jericho doing the Painmakers, unlimited TV time on a random pay-per-view. He's not taking up space at all out or all in, excuse me.
Yeah.
So yeah, knock on wood. So he's doing
not him
exactly,
taking up space. Jericho he should be on all in. Go ahead.
Right, but he's doing exactly what people said that they wanted Jericho to do, which is lead a limited TV time and wrestling matches that kind of matter. This one kind of matters because him and Ciampa have been building up this program, and Painmaker is something that
we're running out of time, Jordan.
You're taking up Jordan. You're
Come
taking
on.
up Juice's time.
No, go ahead.
No, the show's time, not my time. I don't care. I think Ciampa's going to win, and I think this is the last time we see the Painmaker in AEW.
Yeah, I agree. Fletcher and Bandito, AEW International Championship. I'm going with Fletcher. I think you get a Fletcher, Okada, Fletcher, Takeshita, maybe Fletcher, Kevin Knight match at All In. Juice?
I agree. I would love nothing more than to see either of those matches happen at All In. So Kyle Fletcher to retain, and probably an amazing match.
That doesn't work for him, brother.
Does not work for me, brother. Yeah, don't ever in your life, Dev. I don't like that Bandito is taking another loss, but he's taking another loss.
He'll be all right.
Yeah.
Cajun Cope taking on the Death Riders. This one is interesting to me. I would have thought we would have got to see the Bucks versus Cajun Cope, but maybe they're saving the triple threat for somewhere else.
Maybe at the big show.
Well, I think you might see that triple threat with FTR maybe in Chicago and the New Day debuts. I don't know. I'm going to go with Cajun Cope over the Death Riders. Jordan, then Juice.
I think this is more of a story about Will Ospreay and the Death Riders than it is about Cajun Cope being in a match. So I'm going to go Cajun Cope, and we're definitely going to see something probably after the match or during the match.
Well, it's Claudio and Pac. No Will in this one.
Yeah, I think that will be the Death Riders match with the Young Bucks.
Got it.
When I say that, like, there will be some sort of backstage. I think there will be something. There will be something.
All right, I got John Moxley and Will taking on the Young Bucks. This one's a toss-up for me because I think this could be some dissension where John and Will can't get on the same page and the Bucks steal a victory. But I don't know if they want to make it obvious. So I'm going to go with the Bucks, but we'll have to wait and see. Juice and Jordan.
So for the previous match, I'm also going to go Cajun Cope, and then I will be going with the Young Bucks as well. I think it's, again, second time I'm saying this, fait accompli that we're going to get these two legendary tag teams at the biggest
I didn't think you needed to talk on the Cope match. I mean,
that's okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I'm on the show.
No, I'm going. I'm going. Bucks.
The third tag match on this one. We'll probably get a fourth with the women, but the third tag match is a double chain tag team match. Say that 10 times fast. Jay White and Juice Robinson versus the Dogs. I'm here for this match. Give me White and Juice though. Not this Juice.
No. Juice is there. The Juice will be loose. Him and Jay White are going to win. It's going to be a hell of a match. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Jordan, go ahead.
It'll be good. Give me the gun, Bullet Club or Gun Club, whatever they're being called.
Come on.
Sheeta in my world. I'm going with Sheeta. All right. Let's do the main event. Kenny Omega and Kevin Knight. It's Omega. I'm going to ask a question on the media call that I'm not going to divulge right now, but I think we're seeing some things here with Kenny. But I'm going to go with Kenny and Will at Wembley. And what do you guys got?
Yeah. Set it in May, and it's going to come to fruition at the end of the show. It will be Omega and Ospreay. We also didn't talk about the 6-way ladder match for the
I'm doing that last. Jack Perry, Mordos, Commander, Clone, Wayne, Bailey.
Oh my God. This is a fun match. I don't know how they stuck this on the card.
I got to go with Perry. Jordan, are you going with Omega in the main event? Yes, right?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
I'm going with Perry. Quick, boys. We got to get out of here.
I think Jack Perry as well.
If not Perry, then Speedball.
Okay. If this is for the TNT #1 contendership, I'm with Speedball 1,000,000%.
Right.
I think that would be something. But I like that pick, Jordan. Where can everyone subscribe, and follow you, Jordan? Quickly.
You can find me at the Wrestle Collective, and you can follow me at slick_flair91, where we'll be having a show later today on the Wrestle Collective YouTube channel with this man in the green hat here.
Oh,
showing up
spoilers. Come on, dog. Spoilers.
Which one?
Well, it could be anybody, I guess. Yeah, there you go. Tune into the Wrestle Collective at 7. You might see me at Juicy Steen on Twitter argue with me about MJF's creative input and WCW in the year 2000. So follow me.
All right. I'm at Andrew Badal. This is Final Bell Media. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow so that when we go live, hit that bell for notifications. You will know. Enjoy the weekend. Kick it over to X to keep up with my coverage of the Tony Khan media call. See ya.
Later.